What it do, good people? Your boy is back. On my way to see Fantastic Four. I'm not expecting great things, but if I can just get some mediocrity, I'll take it.
2 hours later.
It wasn't too bad. I wouldn't call it fantastic. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Brutal Planet Comics. I'm your host, Dre the Brute Daniels. Happy Monday to you all. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. I myself definitely had himself a weekend for sure, because I checked out Fantastic Four First Steps, and what an interesting film this was for me. As you saw on the outset, I thought it was okay, and I think a lot of sentiments is that this film is good. It's not great, and it's definitely not fantastic.
You suck!
Oh, come on. Let me have my low-hanging fruit. But we're gonna go into spoilers, obviously. It's been a weekend. If you wanted to see it by now, you would have. So we're gonna get right into it. So first, let's talk about the characters. Okay, first and foremost, let's talk about our four leads, the Fantastic Four themselves. To me, their performances were all very bland and very safe. Now, what do I mean by that? Like, none of them are really demonstrative. Nobody really does anything that's like, whoa, standoutish, you know. And like the actors do a okay job. I think the only one I really have an issue with is the characterization of Ben Grimm. He really doesn't do anything the entire film except carry the baby around, and we'll talk about that baby in a little bit. But he doesn't really do anything. The design, of course, was great. Sue Storm, once again, milquetoast. She has two emotions. I'm angry about my baby and melatonin. Johnny Storm at least tries to have a personality, even though it sometimes gets bogged down. You can tell that they definitely turned him down a bit. But this is what we'll say: everybody plays a good role in the film as far as like what they contribute to the story. Like, everybody is, you know, they're smart, and they really focus on the characterization of all these folks are geniuses in their own right. Ben being a great pilot, Reed Richards being a genius, even though he makes some really bad choices, and we'll get into the story part later. And Sue Storm is a great diplomat, and Johnny is a great linguist. So they do an interesting thing of like literally bringing out a lot of the intellectual parts of these characters, but at the same time, you can tell that they were directed to be as bland as possible, and that kind of took me out of it. But, you know, like, no harm, no foul. It wasn't terrible. Okay, go! Let's talk about the best part of this movie, and that's the aesthetic. The aesthetic of this film is fantastic. The retro 1960s, man, they like futuristic retro 1960s. They did an excellent job with the Fantastic Four car, even the city, the way things are built, the televisions, all this stuff. Like, they did a really good job. You can tell where the money went, and they did a really good job in building out this world and how it functions. And so I gotta give them a lot of credit for that. Let's talk about Galactus. Now, Galactus' design in this film is absolutely fan-freaking-tastic. They finally got Galactus right aesthetically. We'll talk about his characterization later, but aesthetically, they really nailed Galactus. Now, there's some levels of disappointment in regards to we're getting a Galactus that doesn't want to be a Galactus anymore, and wants the baby to take over. Like that aspect, I really did not like, and we'll talk more about that later. But I really enjoyed the aesthetic of Galactus. Was absolutely freaking flawless. Let's talk about the Silver Surfer. She didn't do anything in this film. It was like you can tell it was a lot of wasted potential. We'll talk about the wasted potential a little bit later. But once again, the aesthetic was not good. This is not where the money went. I'll tell you that. The design for Silver Surfer was not good, and we beat it to death over the last since we saw her months ago. But the characterization of this character was not done very well, and they didn't really do anything with her. But you can't knock them all out of the park. So, all right, now that we got that out the way, let's talk about the story.
Hey, don't go soft now. Your journey has only just begun.
So the story kicks off really, really, really well. They do a very awesome montage of the Fantastic Four, you know, saving people, using their powers, and showing why people love them so much. The classic monsters from the original Fantastic Four. They feature the Mole Man. A lot of the classic characters, classic villains of the Fantastic Four faced. And you see a montage of this. We actually see them doing hero things, and so we're able to establish that they're heroes and that people love them. Unlike some people, James Gunn, who give us a text crawl and tell us who Superman is instead of showing us who he is. You sicken me, James Gunn. You sicken me. Anyway, moving on. They do a really, really good job establishing that and establishing that they have great diplomacy, and they have found a way to make the world work and make the world a better place, and they do a great job in that montage. And I gotta give credit to, like, even though, like, I'm mentioning Offset, the characters are kind of milquetoast. They're not offensive in any way, shape, or form. Even Pedro Pascal is, I mean, he's not great by any means, but like, he phones it in, and his version of Reed Richards is really not that interesting. But I will say this, the family dynamic, they were actually able to do that. You can actually feel that this is a family, and how they work together and parry off of each other is done well. You can tell that part is written very well. You can feel, I don't want to call feel the love, but to actually have a nuclear family on screen and being pushed as a positive thing is a rare thing nowadays. So for that, they gotta get some credit. And so the character work that they did, especially in like the dinner scene, was done very, very well. Now let's get to where this pretty much turns sour. So this whole story is pretty much Sue Storm is pregnant and they're waiting for the baby, and the whole world's waiting for the baby, and blah, 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 blah. Silver Surfer shows up and is like, hey, I'm the Herald. Stop hating and get money because Galactus is coming to eat you. And man, they did nothing with Silver Surfer. They didn't do anything with her. They didn't do anything of value with her. She's just there as she's just a plot point. She's there. We don't really get to know her. We don't really get to know her motivations. We get one flashback of her when she gives herself up to be the Herald to spare her planet, but they don't really go into it. And I gotta say, the 2007 Fantastic Four film did a way better job of depicting who, of course, that was Norman Rad, Silver Surfer. Let's not get into that. Of what he was and what he was doing and what he was sacrificing himself for to accomplish. They do not do that well. We saw nothing from her. Literally, you could have took her out of the movie and missed nothing, quite frankly. It's kind of weird, but she was definitely a weak point. And then this great tease. So first we got to talk about Sue Storm is 8 months pregnant and goes in outer space. What? Oh God! And gives birth in space with no gravity. Whatever. I'm just gonna remove that. I'm just gonna talk about the characterization because I'm not even gonna. I'll let the people that are far more in depth in science to explain that. But all I know is that ain't right. You ain't gonna send a baby. Especially part of the main part of the story was protect the baby. We don't know if the baby's gonna have powers. Whatever. So they go to Galactus's lair. In space, and Galactus, and this was part of my issue, didn't want to be Galactus anymore. He wanted a Franklin Richards, who in the comics, of course, is darn near omnipotent when he's born, and wants him to take over as Galactus so he can, I don't know, go on vacation or something. So that was kind of annoying. But then we tease this relationship between the Silver Surfer and Johnny Storm, which really doesn't have a really good payoff. Like at some point in the film, he transcribes her language and shows her the error of her ways by playing all the sounds of screaming people before their planets got destroyed. Like she didn't know that already, and then she goes off screaming. Weak stuff. Like if they actually focused on, heaven forbid, any type of interpersonal relationship between them, it doesn't have to be romantic. Like just anything to give me something from the Silver Surfer, because she gave me nothing, and that was annoying. And they teased it, but like it's probably got butchered up in reshoots or whatever. Now we got to talk about the problem. Like I said before, Galactus doesn't want to be Galactus anymore, and that really, really, really messed me up. Especially we actually have, for once, a perfect aesthetic for what Galactus is supposed to be and what these roles represent. So his motivation is, hey, I'm gonna get that baby so the baby can replace me, and because he can satisfy the hunger. It was a very bizarre ordeal. I would rather have him just been a force of nature, of just like, I'm coming through, I'm eating up everything, I don't care. But he has this weird arc of like, give me the baby. It's a very bizarre ordeal, and it really took me out of it. Now, granted, there was a couple cool fight scenes with Galactus at his lair. The Fantastic Four is pretty much just trying to escape because they can't fight him on his terms. And it's just like, I think this film is just a bunch of wasted potential. I think that's where I'm settling at. It's a lot of wasted potential. There was a lot of like little nuggets there, but we never got a meal. And I think that part was pretty tough for me. I think that's where the story really starts to fall flat, is when we're trying to find these type of solutions to problems that the writers didn't even think of. So, it's pretty tough. So they escape Galactus, right? And then they go to Earth, and then Reed Richards, once again, the smartest man on Earth, is a moron and tells the people, like, oh, did y'all defeat Galactus? Nah. He wanted our baby, and so we said no. So he's going to come and kill all of us. You don't say that. All you got to do is be like, hey, he didn't want to negotiate. There's nothing, like, you didn't have to say anything of like, hey, they wanted my baby specifically, so since I won't give up my baby, everybody has to die. That's not a Reed Richards thing to do. Reed Richards would have made a much smarter play. But throughout this film, they find a plan to teleport Earth to another solar system. And my buddy Jed, shout out to him if he's watching, mentioned something very, very interesting during Roundtable. Definitely check that out every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Renaissance Nerd channel. He mentioned that Reed never factored in the moon, which, if you teleport to Earth, you need to take the moon with you because that's part of our gravitational pull. But like, Reed Richards just does a lot of dumb stuff in this film that Reed Richards in the comics would not have done, and it takes you really out of it, especially for those that understand how not only is he egotistical psychopath, but how genius level this man really is. He's been the MacGuffin to get everybody out of trouble in just about every comic ever made. So to see him just do dumb stuff like that was just annoying. Let's talk about the third act. Let's talk about this third act. So Silver Surfer comes back, destroys all of these relays in which they're going to teleport the Earth with, except one's left in front of the Baxter Building. She flies away after realizing that she's killed billions or whatever. Galactus comes to Earth, right? And it's like giant kaiju battle. The Fantastic Four are trying to fight them. Obviously, it's not going well. They use their son as bait because instead of landing right where the baby is, he landed outside the city or whatever. Movie magic. And so he's coming to get the baby. And they're not doing well, obviously, because they're not that great. But Sue Storm solos him by Push just kept pushing him into the portal.
Oh no.
And then she ends up dying from exhaustion or something ridiculous. You know, they couldn't help themselves. Obligatory girl boss and stuff. Like, I granted, throughout the entire film, a lot of it was missing, but this was just really, really on ridiculous time. So he pushes Galactus into the portal, and my eyes roll to the back of my head. He comes out. We're about to have a really, really nice moment with Johnny Storm, and then it's taken from us because right when he's about to make a sacrifice play, guess who comes back? It's Silver Surfer Lady, and pushes Galactus in, and it once again, my eyes roll to the back of my head, and I'm just like, we could have had something interesting. Her face turn makes no sense at all, but and then pretty much the movie ends. Oh, sorry, I missed a part. Franklin Richards, the baby, revives his mama because he has the power cosmic in this. Then the movie ends. And there was just a lot of wasted potential, a lot of things on the cutting room floor that you can tell was just butchered up, and like the third act is an absolute mess. Like, I like the first act. The second act was iffy, but the third act is an absolute debacle. So, with all that in mind, let's check the thing that matters the most. Let's take a look at the box office. Okay, we're here at the box office, and as of recording, we're at 118 million at the domestic and 100 million international, and I think it's at a 200 million production budget. That's reported, and what's also been reported is that the advertising budget was between 150 and 200 million dollars.
My God.
That is crazy amounts of money. So we're staring down the barrel of 350 million dollars. So break even point is about 650 to 700 million. And this opening weekend we got 218 million, which isn't a bad start by any means, but this has a really tough hill to climb in order to make some serious, not even serious money, enough money to justify, not even justify existence, to break even. It's got to do a lot. So maybe it has legs. We'll see in week 2 where the money is. If it does have some legs, this joint might have a chance. So with that all in mind, let's get to my final verdict.
Final round, fight.
Now, ultimately, what do I think? And not only that, do I think this revives interest in the MCU? Let me start off with that question. I don't think this film's really going to move the needle enough for people to start caring about the MCU. Now, why do I say that? One, because the Fantastic Four, as legendary as a team and as characters they may be, they don't really move the needle for the general public. That's just reality. That's just real life. Also, the quality of this film isn't high enough to really spark a fire under the MCU at this point. The MCU has seen way too much down to the point that films that are like this, that are just okay or maybe just good enough, are looked at as, oh man, this is so great, because we had so much slop over the years. But that's just what I think there. But I don't think this is really gonna shoot this thing into the stratosphere to bring it back to where it was 10 years ago or so. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Well, ultimately, what do I think about this film? Now, this film, like I said, I enjoyed myself. I liked it. I think the aesthetic was really good. I think what they did with Galactus, design-wise, was very good. I think the characterizations of the Fantastic Four themselves were a little lackluster, but at the same time, they weren't offensive at all, so that's fine. I think it's a film, if you got a couple hours to kill and you just want to kick back and turn your brain off, I think it's a nice film for that. I don't think you'll find anything in it that's the bastardization. So, but I can recommend that you can go and check out Fantastic Four: First Steps.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, what do you guys think? Maybe you think that this is the greatest MCU movie of all time. Let me know in the comment section below. And where am I pointing? This way. No, that way. That way. In that corner up there. You can check out one of my new Pokemon videos that I am doing with my main man and on my The Brute Plays YouTube channel. Definitely check that out. So do all those great YouTube things. Like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. And as always, you guys have been fan-freaking-tastic. I'll catch you all next time.